Okay, I'm back with Katie. And the last home that we visited, that Jennifer Holmes and I visited, I really loved this home. I thought it was fantastic. It had a great layout. And I mean, the best part is it was economical, right? So it had a very attractive price point below $400,000. And it's kind of a resort style community. And, something that I was sharing with Katie that she brought up is it's a townhome, but it's part of an association, right? So this is now getting into condo / townhome rules. And that's a little bit different when it comes to insurance. So, just to give you a little idea here, this one's in Grand Prairie. It's got a great little dog park, resort style pool. I was blown away. I thought this was fantastic. It gives a great opportunity for, especially first time home buyers, young families, just a great vibe all around, and in such a great growing area. So, Katie, let's walk through the quote.
Yeah.
When it comes to one of the properties that's available for sale, this one on Grand Peninsula. So take it away.
Yeah. So townhome insurance / condo insurance, those words are used interchangeably, even though this is a townhome. The technical insurance term is condo. So what that basically means, the only difference is that your HOA is covering the outside of the building and you are only responsible for the studs in of the rebuild. So if the house is a total loss, your HOA will cover the actual framing and putting the outside and the roof on. And then your insurance is going to cover the floors, the walls, putting everything else inside. So really the main difference there is the reconstruction amount. Your dwelling coverage is going to be much lower than a single family home because you're only responsible for that inside.
And we call that walls in or HO6 insurance,
yes,
right?
Yes, correct. Yep. So it is a completely different form than your regular home insurance. So you definitely, whenever you're getting a townhome, you want to make sure that you let your insurance agent know you want the townhome policy, not the regular home policy. And it is more favorable pricing because it is a lower insurance amount.
Yeah, definitely. But we also have to look at the master policy as well, right? So it's not just the HO6 insurance or the walls in. We have to look at the master policy to make sure that they truly are going to rebuild your structure, right? So
exactly.
that's really important.
Exactly. Yep. You'll want a copy of the HOA policy to make sure you are covered on both sides.
Fantastic. So anything here that you want to point out?
So I wanted to point out the loss assessment line item. So this is another item that's a little different than home insurance. On your townhome policy, because your HOA is responsible for certain coverages for you, the loss assessment is an add-on on townhome insurance. If the HOA was to decline a claim and say, no, we want you to pay, this can actually be claimed through your policy, and say if it's a common area or of some reason that the HOA is not going to pay, you can claim it through your insurance. So that is something to just look out for if you do have a townhome, just in case, because a lot of times it only comes with 1,000 of insurance on there automatically. So you can look at raising it.
Oh, that's really interesting. So, so if, so I have clients, and, my wife has a condo, right? And, the association will sometimes issue assessments, right? And they will say, okay, each individual owner has to pay $5,000 this year. Are you saying the insurance covers that?
Yeah. It's something not very many people know or talk about, but it is something that you can add on to the policy as a just in case the HOA is pushing something onto you.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
That's huge value because especially if this is brand new, but if you're in an older building, oh my gosh. I once had a client that was buying it was a condo in the San Fernando Valley, right? So I'm licensed in California and Texas, and it had received an assessment and it was open-ended because of the earthquakes in '94. And the seller was trying to push my buyer into just moving forward. And I said, guys, there's no way, because this particular study started at $3 million and the assessment on the owners was tremendous. So I advised them. I said, we need to get out of this immediately. So if you're buying an older building, that's something to keep in mind, right?
Yeah. The definitely want to look, make sure there's nothing in the contract, because that's crazy that it was just, they didn't even cap it.
Right. I mean, it was actually, I had my condo team, they pointed it out. They're like, look at page 74. And, there's certain things when it comes to insurance and condo docs and all of that, where things could be fine. And things like if there was somebody that had a trip and fall and, they were suing for $10,000. Okay. So you have an open claim, but you have insurance that covers up to 100,000. Well, now it's protected, right? You've identified it, so you know the amount, it's limited, and you have the coverage that's going to take care of that. So that's protected. When it's open-ended, that's where it's game over. Right?
Yeah, I'm like, well.
Yeah, so lenders aren't going to want to do that, right? And I'm sure insurance agencies don't want to do that either.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to have a team you can trust, because if you're just doing this all solo, you would have not seen that document and just moved forward with the house. So that's great. Y'all caught it.
Yeah. I mean, we just told the client, and the seller kept insisting. And I just said, sorry, you're not going to get a sale from us. That's just not how it works. We have to protect our buyers. No, I mean, that's great when it comes to, having that extra amount when it comes to assessments, especially on older condos. I think that's really huge. Anything else on here? I mean, the premium's fantastic, $799.
The main thing you're going to notice with townhome policies is the premium is much lower and the deductible is much lower. So because the primary reason that our Texas policies are so expensive is because of hail. That is literally the main reason. And so they're helping themselves in two ways. One is the deductible, and the second is the price, the premium. So that's why on a townhome policy, they're both much lower, is because they know they're not going to have that claim. So they basically reward you for that. They say, we know we're never going to have to replace the roof. So therefore, we're going to lower your deductible and lower your premium because we don't have that risk.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So one last thing I wanted to, we all went through Snowmageddon here in Texas, that back in February. That was so fun. But one thing that happened to a lot of people all over Texas, not just DFW, was water damage, right? So pipes bursting and everything. So what happens if your property is just fine, but your neighbor above you, because you're in a condo, bursts a pipe? Who's going to help cover the damage? Is that covered by your insurance, or is that the HOA, or is that a discussion?
It is definitely a situation by situation basis, but what we usually see happen is your insurance will pay it up front, and then they're usually going to subrogate and go after the person above you and try to get their insurance to reimburse them. So you always do have coverage no matter what on your home, but sometimes the insurance companies will try to make the person at fault pay for it.
Got it. All right, Katie. Well, thank you so much. You've been such a pleasure to work with, and this is great information. I think people are going to get a lot out of it. It's not just about showing homes. It's about, looking at the numbers behind it and really educating people and understanding. So
making a good financial decision.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Thanks so much.